everybody, this is Dr. Sattler with Creating Future Nurses here again. And today we're going to talk about arterial blood gases. Now, in my previous video, we discussed the basics of how to determine your arterial blood gases. Today we're going to take it a step further and determine whether your arterial blood gases are compensating or not. So they could be fully compensating, partially compensating, or uncompensating. So we're going to determine that today. Let's go back and just review. Remember, our lab values that are included in our ABGs are our pH, our PaCO2, and our HCO3 or bicarbonate. So a normal pH is 7.35 to 7.45. A normal PaCO2 is 35 to 45. And a normal bicarbonate or HCO3 is 22 to 26. Okay? Now, when we're looking at whether our problems are compensating or not, we got to look at something else to take it a step further. Our absolute normal is 7.40. Your absolute normal is 7.40. Okay? So, now, when we're determining if it's compensating or not, we got to look at if it falls between 7.35 to 7.40, it's more on the acidic side. Okay? And if it falls between 7.40 to 7.45, it falls more on the alkalic side. Remember, we also said if our issue is with our CO2, it's a respiratory issue. And if our issue is with our bicarb or our HCO3, then it's a metabolic issue. Okay? So let's plug in some of this. We're still going to use the tic-tac-toe method that we learned from the previous video, but let's start plugging these in to kind of see what's going on. So right now we have a pH of 7.52, a PaCO2 of 48, and a bicarbonate HCO3 of 28. So let's plug that in. 7.52 for our pH. Is that below 7.35, above 7.45, or somewhere in the middle? And 7.52, that's above 7.45. So our pH is alkalic right now. A PaCO2 of 48, is that above 45, below 35, or somewhere in the middle? So 48 is going to be above 45. So our PaCO2 is acidic right now. And our bicarb, HCO3 of 28, is that below 22, above 26, or somewhere in the middle? And 28 is going to be higher than 26. So our bicarbonate is alkalic. Now, so obviously our bicarb matches our pH. So the issue is going to be a metabolic issue. However, this PaCO2 is off as well. So it's throwing itself off to try to bring things back into normal. And so it's trying to pull that pH and bring that pH back into normal. So it's throwing itself off too. However, again, we want the one that matches the pH to determine whether it's metabolic or respiratory. So the HCO3 is matching the pH, so therefore it's going to be a metabolic issue. So it's alkalosis, metabolic alkalosis. However, because this PaCO2 is throwing itself off, it's going to be partially compensating. So it's partially compensating. It's partially because that pH has not become normal yet. So that's why it's partially. So metabolic alkalosis, partially compensating. Okay? Let's take a look at our second one. So our second one, we have a pH of 7.25, a PaCO2 of 60, and an HCO3 of 27. So 7.25 for our pH, is that below 7.35, above 7.45, or somewhere in the middle? 7.25 falls below our 7.35 range. So right now our pH is acidic. A PaCO2 of 60, is that above 45, below 35, or somewhere in the middle? A PaCO2 of 60 is higher than 45. So right now our PaCO2 is acidic. Our bicarbonate, HCO3, is 27. Is that below 22, above 26, or somewhere in the middle? It's above 26. So right now, our bicarbonate is alkali. So to determine if it's respiratory or metabolic, which one matches our pH? Our PaCO2 matches our pH. So therefore, we know it's a respiratory issue. And they're both on the acidic side. So it's respiratory acidosis. However, that bicarbonate is throwing itself off to try to bring things back into normal. So therefore, it's partially compensating. It's partially compensating because that pH has not become normal yet. So again, respiratory acidosis, partially compensating. Okay? Let's take a look at another one here. We have a pH of 7.41, a PaCO2 of 26, and a bicarbonate HCO3 of 17. So let's plug these numbers in. 7.41, is that below 7.35, above 7.45, or somewhere in the middle? And that is somewhere in the middle. So our pH is actually normal at 7.41. Okay? A PaCO2 of 26, is that above 45 or below 35? A PaCO2 of 26 is going to be below 35. So our PaCO2 is alkali. HCO3 of 17, is that below 22, above 26, or somewhere in the middle? HCO3 of 17 is going to be below 22. So our HCO3 is going to be acidic. All right, now, well, how do we determine if it's respiratory or metabolic? Our pH is normal. So, with the pH being normal, that automatically tells you it is fully compensating. Your pH is normal, so it's fully compensating. But how do we determine if it's a respiratory or metabolic issue? So remember up here, I said if your pH falls between 7.35 to 7.40, it's going to be leaning more towards the acidic side. If your pH falls between 7.40 and 7.45, it's going to be leaning more towards the alkalic side. So a pH of 7.41 falls between the 7.40 and 7.45. So therefore, it's going to be leaning more towards the alkalic side. So which one is alkalic? Our PaCO2. So that's the one that's going to match our pH. So if the issue is with the PaCO2, then it's a respiratory issue. So it's going to be respiratory alkalosis, fully compensating. And remember, like I said, if the pH is normal, you automatically know that it's fully compensating. So this is respiratory alkalosis, fully compensating. Okay? Now let's look at one more problem here. Alright, this one we have a pH of 7.46, a PaCO2 of 36, and a HCO3 of 32. So let's plug those numbers in. pH of 7.46. Is it below 7.35, above 7.45, or somewhere in the middle? So 7.46 is going to be higher than our 7.45. So our pH is alkalic right now. A PaCO2 of 36. 36, is that above 45 or below 35 or somewhere in the middle? So 36 falls between that outside of 35 range. So our PaCO2 is actually normal, okay? Our bicarbonate, HCO3, is 32. Is that below 22, above 26, or somewhere in the middle? So our HCO3 of 32 is above 26. So our HCO3 is alkalic. So which one matches our pH? Obviously our HCO3 matches our pH. So therefore it's a metabolic issue. So metabolic alkalosis. The CO2 is not throwing itself off yet. So it's not trying to compensate right now. So therefore this is metabolic alkalosis uncompensated. It's uncompensated because the CO2 is not trying to throw itself off to bring things back into balance. Okay? So I hope that helps you. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like them, then please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you and have a great day.